why we need this all details. Any reason for that?
Actually, the reason we use a certificate is because browser, there are some trusted says that the browser will be that we need to put in the browser so that it can easily communicate. Because if we are not putting the certificate, then it will show the error that it is not secure or something like that.
Okay. So thing is that, to be honest, your answer is almost correct, but there is one thing that is missing. Maybe I can just quickly explain that to you. So your answer was almost correct. You have provided like, okay, few details why certificate is needed. That actually correct. But one of the main reason why we need certificate is because, let me just quickly clear this mess. Okay. So now the thing is why we need certificate. So let's say I know that, okay, I'm visiting google.com and the web server is this one and the google.com has public and private key over here. Okay. So, and what will happen in this web server will actually send first, before there is any kind of data transfer, they will send me this public key so that I can utilize that to decrypt the traffic, right? But the thing is, why we need a certificate is, how will we know, how as a client will we be knowing that the public key that we have received in our computer is actually coming from the Google server? Okay, it can be that an attacker is like let's say that there is an attacker like Bubsuit. Like Bubsuit is actually like kind of, let's say, is an attacker. So the Bubsuit can actually provide a public key, okay, in the name of Google, right? In the name of Google, and tell you that, okay, you use this key to encrypt the traffic. And what will happen is that the attacker will be able to decrypt your data. And what they will do is that once they are able to decrypt data, they will see that what username, password, or cookies are. And also maybe they will also forward the data to the Google website on their behalf, the same thing which Bubsuit and detection device is doing. Okay. So there is no way to know the public key that we have received has actually came to us from an authenticated sender. Okay, so that's where the certificate comes into picture. So certificates is like a kind of a, let's say there are multiple organizations, government regulatory organization, and what they do is that, let's say the web server, Google web server, needs to kind of send a public key to you. So what they will do first, they will first share this public key to the government organization. Okay. The government organization will verify everything, let's say the company address, the company email, and a lot of other things. And then they will allocate a certificate to you. That certificate will contain all the details about this Google server, as well as the public key, Now, when you send that certificate to the client, there are two things that the client will have. The first thing is that the client can fetch the public key from the certificate. Another thing is that using the certificate, they can verify that public key is actually coming in from the Google website and not from that hacker. Okay, so that's the main reason actually why we actually share the data over certificate. We share the public key over certificate. The only reason is that we have to verify that the public key that we are using is actually coming from an authenticated source, not from something like, let's say, attacker and all. Okay, so that's the reason. I hope this makes sense. So now thing is that if I go to this certificate, if I click on this one, it tells me that there are a lot of things, and what will happen is that the browser will actually verify that the public key over here is actually coming in from the authenticated sender, which is the Bubsuit tool, for an example. Okay. Now what we will do is that we will click over here and say import. So we are not able to import that, but let me just okay, and that's where, like, if you import that out, so I'm saying that there's some issues. I need to figure out what the issue is. It seems like there's some certain other settings, security controls in this Firefox browser, which is not letting me kind of install the certificate. But the thing is that once I install this certificate, thing is that now when I will visit the facebook.com, I won't see that error. Okay, so if I go over here and So it says, if you see, it says MITM detected. So it's man in the middle attack. And the Firefox is actually detecting that there is some kind of man in the middle attack. Okay. And if you click on certificate, uh, you will actually see that, okay, it's port trigger. Let's see if it tells you other thing, if it gives you an option of installment. So if you see that the Facebook is not allowing you to visit the website, even though you want to do that, and it's telling you that there's an MITM attack in action in place. So the thing is that to avoid this kind of warning, we need to kind of install that certificate in our system. So that certificate will be automatically installed in company network via some kind of policy thing, where the policy will be dispatched to all the system, and policy will actually configure the system such that the certificates of that detection device is being used, okay, automatically, rather than user manually configuring that. Okay. And now if I go over here and let's say I go to the settings, I go for over here to the, let's say, view certificate. I'll say import. Okay. So import, and let's say it will open the downloads folder. I'll just say this one. Okay. I'll say trust. Okay. And then I'll say okay. And now thing is that that certificate has been installed. Okay. I hope guys you are following upon this thing, and maybe you guys can also follow up on your lab environment and kind of follow up on the same thing which I'm doing. Okay. So once that's done, now the setting has been done. And now what you'll see that if I visit the facebook.com again, you see Facebook is opening up. There is no error right now. Okay. All good. So I hope it makes sense to you, like how this is in action. And now if I go to the burp suite, you can see that if I scroll down a bit more, you can see the Facebook packages are now showing up over here. You can see that HTTPS Facebook web page are not showing over here, and we can actually see the things in action. We can actually see the thing in plain text, right? So if I do something like, let's say, if I want to kind of intercept the username and password, so what I will do is that I will just say intercept is on. I'll just do it on. And then what I will do is that I'll just allow all cookies. And then I will give something over here, like something like this. And maybe something like some password. Okay. So if this was an HTTP website, the attacker would have seen the thing, the data in a plain text. But now to see that data, what we are doing is we are using the bug suite tool. And now once we log in, so what will happen is that if I go to the bug suite tool, because I have intercepted the traffic, you see a thing over here in plain text. Okay, in plain text, let's figure out if this field has a username and password. So if you see, so one of the things which I was not able to kind of say that earlier in the lab environment is the get and post header. So get header, we have seen that, okay, the data actually went over here. Like here, the thing is that there's a variable and then there is a value. Okay, it is, so these things are there. But in the post header, what happens, the most of the data is actually getting transferred like this, if you see over here, okay, as a variable value. So the variable values that I need to send to the server is actually transferred as a, let's say here it is actually transferred as a dictionary. So the value, like user, the value is 0, web session ID, the value is this, and app ID is this. So all the values, rather than passing that as an argument in the URL, what we do is that we pass that as the body header, as a part of the body header of the request. Okay, I hope this is kind of making sense to you guys. If you have any concern, just interrupt me as soon as possible. Okay. Now what I will do is that, let's say I don't see the username of mine over here. I will just forward this one. I forwarded that. Then I got something cookie consent. If you remember, I gave the allow cookie. So again, you see it's a cookie, the post header, and you see the data over here, the data that was sent out to the server. It's not, so in the get header, it will be here, over here, but in the post header, those all data will be over here as a part of the body header. Okay. Now let's forward this packet again. Now let's figure out the next part. Okay. Now this is another packet that was sent out. And if you see, let me